Lads, how are you? It's good to meet you. I'm Nev.
Hey Dan,
Hello.
what's up?
Good, good. It was afternoon. Where you got? Are you both in LA?
No, I'm in like right outside of Boston. I'm still an East Coaster.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
but I see how that must be. Is that tricky for you boys to like, you know, tee up jams and tee up things for tour and stuff like that? Do you have like a fiddlehead symbol that you put up into the sky and and assemble, come together? How's it work?
It it, it flows. I think we
We
make
do
it
do
work.
yeah, we do a lot of flying in and out, but we make it work. We don't play that often. I think we average about 15 to 18 shows a year, so
Yeah.
it's very low key.
But I guess that was one of my questions for you guys was that because you don't play that often, it kind of makes it special and things like your shows are just selling out everywhere. Like your Melbourne show, you're about to tour Australia, of course. Your Melbourne show sold out. The other ones aren't too far behind from what I hear. Do you think that's what, you know, to do with it? Do you think, because you don't play that often and tour that often, it's kind of a special occasion for everybody, including yourselves?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think so. Yeah, scarcity drives human beings, and maybe I don't know, but like because we don't play so much, it really does kind of make the live experience for us as like the players like
Mm.
pretty sacred and important. So I don't know, maybe by word of mouth, people say nice things about when we play, and I don't pay too much attention to it, but from what I gather, people feel like there's an atmosphere when we play, and I'm real happy to kind of observe the people like say those types of things. And so I don't know, it just adds to the idea that we're trying to create a moment,
Mm.
when we play, and that I think that it's just the human condition for that to be very tough to do night after night after night after night, to have it still really kind of be a type of meaning. It's not impossible, but I find it very tough, especially like I'm a teacher on the side and
Yeah.
really on the front of it. And I've been teaching the same course, and after every 2 or 3 years, I gotta switch up the lesson style to kind of drive home certain points.
And what do you do outside of the band, Alex? Like, what do you?
So I tour with a band called Turnstile. I do all their video and photo. So I have been doing that for the last 2 years. And then prior to that, I worked for the label that we're actually on, Run for Cover Records. And then I played in a band called Basement. So I was touring full time. So
That's right.
juggling a bunch of stuff. But like you said, we rarely play comparing to Basement, whereas that was my job. I was full
Mm.
time touring for at least 3 to 5 years, I think it was. And so this makes it like I get nervous that the show is going to be over and then it's done. And then I'm like, I really try and I've been recently trying to soak it up and be like, all right, I'm very present. I'm really going to enjoy this and like focus and yeah, because it's just, you wait all this time and then it's 30, 40 minutes and it's over. So we really try and make it as special as possible.
Do you get the post gig blue? Even though you've done this for years, do you guys get the post gig blues? I get it. Where you just like you get that superhuman feeling for like half an hour, 40 minutes, and then you go, oh, yeah,
Well,
like,
for us, it's a little bit different because we get in the van and then we usually really dissect the show and like
yeah.
we'll each break down things we liked, things we didn't like, and moments, and we can talk about that for hours. I mean, we usually go pretty deep with like show stuff, and yeah, it's for us. Mine might be like, say if we've had a long weekend and then I come back, I'm like, dang, I wish that had been 3 weeks rather than just 3 days.
Best. I love it.
Yeah, it's one of when I used to tour all the time in my old band. I was like, it's like a real you like a genuine like low key depression that you can go in
Yeah.
after just being on the road for so long, and then boom, it's over. Just going like 100 miles an hour, and then just like coming back to like normal life. It's Don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm in the hurt locker or anything like that, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
uh it's like a huge transition, and um I don't. Yeah, I think it's the way of life. It's over. It's so fun, but the cool thing about the way we play is like we kind of play almost like quarterly,
Mm.
um, sometimes every other quarter, but like it's on the horizon. We always have like a plan for like the next quarter or something like that, and yeah, it's really cool to have like something around the corner, even if it in if it's not playing, it's writing or some type of event, and it always just sort of feels exciting again because we don't do it so much, and so
Mm.
but yeah, definitely the blues is there, but there's another one around the corner, and I also think that like the stints that we do, like we're this tour that we're doing in a couple days, I can't stop thinking about it. It's like I'm so excited,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gone for 2 weeks when I used to be gone for like 4 months at a time. But it's the longest we've ever been out, and it's also the farthest we've ever gone. And it's just I'm so excited to go. It's like it's so grand. I couldn't be happier and more excited. But I know, like, in the day I get back,
Yeah.
the very day I get back, I have about 6 hours to get home, and then I drive right to work.
Oh, brutal.
The first day of school. But
That's brutal.
the name of the game.
Have you both been to Australia before in your other bands? And two of
Yeah,
you, right? You have. Pretty sure.
I was there
Yep.
this year actually with Turnstile for
Of course.
their shows and the festivals. But I've been with Basement, I think four times, I think. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, I love it.
I,
great.
I went to Australia twice with my old band Howler, and the first time we went was with Parkway Drive. We had they were new. They were kind of new. They were just blowing
Yeah.
up in Australia, and we were like, they're kind of a metalcore band, but they were like all hardcore dudes. And yeah, they had us. It was amazing to see them, and but we were definitely like playing to their audience and whatnot. And I think we had one or two of like our own little tiny small shows, and then we went back. I think less than a year later, and just did like our own tour. It was totally excellent. Like just completely excellent. Like every night was amazing, with the exception of like getting beat up within an inch of my life in Sydney.
What? What do you mean? What happened?
It's like my last memory of Australia. I hate to say it.
Oh, no.
That's
No.
why we're trying to redeem this. This is the trip where I'm like, can no longer bring up the beating up story. There'll be a new story from this tour. That's all we're going to talk
Yeah,
about.
Everyone
The
was
it's
best
like
day.
nice. No
some
Yeah.
like
beating up
child's gonna
anybody.
random child's gonna hand me like a rose or something like that. Uh, I'll give the cliff notes of it, but like we played a show in Sydney, and we were staying in like at Billabong Gardens. I don't know, it's like some hostel that a lot of bands would stay at the time, and I don't really know what part of Sydney it was in. But everything closed down, and with the exception, there's like one falafel shop open late, and me and our friend Danny, who was over at Resist Records at the time, and a couple of us in Have Art, we just left the hostel to just off a side street to go on the main street where the falafel place was open, and there was like a fight brewing between two parties that were both pretty well inebriated, um, and I everyone else in my group tried to just sort of pass them by walking sort of onto the street. I tried to kind of skirt through a little open passageway between the ensuing fight and like the metal gate that on a closed door, and someone got shoved into me by accident, and I very gently shoved them off. And
Oh,
I think that I was kind of dressed neutrally to both parties. Neither of them recognized me, but because they were also inebriated and because I was dressed fairly neutrally, me pushing the person off me was like an act of war. And then like somebody punched me in the face, and I went into like crazy, like like ass beater mode. And there was this one guy who like I was laying punches on for all of 2 seconds before before both parties drunkenly were just teaming together and then pounding me down. And I remember I had my head up against a curb, and like someone yelled out curb him, and
oh,
I could hear like I could hear Danny from Resist Records shrieking, and everything kind of just slowed down. My head was pressed up against a tire and a curb, and people just wailing on me. And then my bandmates were pulling people off me, but they didn't recognize them, and they were just going back on me. Somehow I got up, and then I was like street fighting in the middle of the street. Apparently, a car almost completely ran over me, and the one guy had a chain, and like at one point I punched another guy. We both fell, but then I got up, and I didn't know which direction the falafel shop was in, and I just was like, I hope it's this one because everything else is totally blackened out. And I just ran towards. Luckily, I got to the falafel shop, and it just turns out I just went in there, and then like my friends, Danny had gotten all our friends at the hostel to come and like start fighting, and they did, and I was able to just like escape. There was like nothing I could do. I was so, and all of this happened probably within the span of like 2 minutes. And so like, and then the next day we played in, I think we played in like Brisbane or something like that, and I played, but I gave this like nice speech about how like violence is like not okay, and then we played Byron Bay, and I think that was it. We flew home. So like, but yeah, that was it. That's my last time in Australia.
Well, this time will be better. I promise.
Yeah.
We promise.
I hope so.
We owe you beers for that. Yeah.
I am a little worried because I remember getting about a year later, my father got this. I didn't tell my parents that I had been beaten with an inch of my life. I was like 23 or 24 at the time. But my father got this medical bill from Sydney, and he was like, "Patty, were you in the hospital when you were in Australia?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about that." So I think I have some medical bills to be paying, and I'm a little worried that the customs or the immigration might be like, "Oh, sir,
you're going to have the doctors from the hospital coming up swinging chains. Go, where's our money? No, I don't think you will. I don't think anyone will chase you down. They'll be like, it's right, mate. Because that's how we roll. I hope, anyway. Of course, man, this new Fiddlehead. Let me start that again because it's early in the morning. The new Fiddlehead album, mate, I've even forgotten the name of the album already. Having a morning, lads. I'm sorry. Death means...
Death is nothing to us.
Nothing to us. Thanks for helping me out. I've even got my notes here. Sorry. Let me rewind all that. Man, how embarrassing. This album is incredible. It's just phenomenal. And, the themes and it just connects through to the previous two, correct? But this one deals with a lot more of grief and loss and dealing with that subject. Is that correct?
Yeah, more like in the realm of like kind of like the mopey, dopey sadness, depression that kind of comes with it, and like the just like the way in which the other records like kind of like kind of explore like specifically like the loss of I was trying to understand my mom at the time, and then I think the last record was more kind of it's never like a concept. It's just in that world. It's part of my life experience. And the last record I had a child, so it was a little more about life and how that kind of offered this really profound juxtaposition. And but then throughout all of that was the life and the death was just sort of like the kind of the way in which like a sudden loss can kind of weigh on you, and you kind of mess up your rhythm to be up and at it. And there's a comfort in that. I think it's very easy to just sort of fall into the mental trappings of grief and just chalk it up to that's the way life goes type of stuff. So this one but also there's in almost every record there's always some type of light and dark type of tension there. So this one is also like an exploration of like kind of how to like reclaim the zest of life.
What do you hope that people that are going through those things, what message do you want them to take away from it? To obviously the zest of life. What do you hope that people get from this album?
I don't want to. I struggle to. I don't have much advice. I've like everyone's got to like kind of make sense of things on their own. And I don't know if I would say that there's like a prescription, only because like I've taken people's advice sometimes and it's been bad. Like I would hate to give bad advice or like say like, oh, this is, but I think it's also super powerful to kind of make meaning on your own and come to it on your own. But what I could say in the sort of kind of, just cognitive experience of doing this band and having the opportunity to kind of write openly and just life is there's a David White poem called "Everything Is Waiting for You" that was really wonderful poet. The light bulb just really went off in my head. I heard it one morning really early when I was with my son when he was like a baby. I sent it right over to my sister, and I've thought of it ever since. And I wasn't surprised to hear like Nick Cave talk about that poem in a public talk or conversation that he was doing. And he had endured some pretty profound loss, and I think that poem, to me, "Everything Is Waiting for You," kind of in many respects captures just something I think is good for living as a human. It's just this idea that life is out there, and you can't really. It sounds so banal and corny in many respects, but you can't let that get away, because the next thing you know, you're just old and it's gone. And then all these little tiny small things offer so many have so much potential for greatness. And and maybe in this case the example would be just like the attraction of just like meeting up with friends to write music opens a door into I think some really great and profound experiences. So little things are big, and life is you have the power to kind of flip the coin in life. It's hopefully it's not always like not completely lost.
Absolutely, man. And of course, I think we have to wrap things up. But boys, I can't wait to see you in Brisbane, and hopefully there's going to be no fights this time. But we'll look after you, I promise.
All right.
Well, not me. I can't fight. I just stand there. But mate, new album is out on what is going on with me today? I apologize, lads. August 18. Death Is Nothing to Us. We'll have all the links here, and to, of course, the new the tour dates. Boys, take care, and we will see you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
See you soon.